that this is all kind of jank and it goes right into your head. Ridiculous. So today we're working on a Chevy. I'm just kidding, it's an RX7. But I am welding in a 12-point roll cage from Jeg, so stick around and watch me weld it in. Alright, so this is everything in the Jeg's 12-point harness kit. So we got the roll cage or the roll bar there, that bar, those bars, and these bars, and then there's that bar, and then we got this bundle of bars with the plates. So I don't know what this stuff is. I don't know what fell on, what came on it, or what came on. I don't know what happened to this. It kind of looks like wax, but anyways, I'm gonna get it all cleaned up. A little bit of rust. It says it's been sitting for 2 years, so, and he's just now getting around to having somebody put it in, but here we go. Okay, so I got all the pieces cleaned up. Got all the tube cleaned up right there. Everything looking nice. I got the seat pulled out, and so one thing I've discovered is everything is cut long. So everything's gonna have to be trimmed to fit. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take all these plates and roughly put them where they're all gonna sit in the car and mark them out and get them all cleaned up. So everything is really big. It'll be cut and trimmed to fit, and you will have to like hammer these so they form once they're in place. So I'm gonna do the same to the other side and clean those up and tack them in. All right, so as you can see, I cut the corner off right there. Makes it a little easier just to weld that in. So what I'm gonna do is just line this up right here, tack right here, and right here, and then start hammering it down to form against the body, I hope. Woo! Okay, so got that one tacked in. Now before we go any further, I'm gonna do the other side and then test fit this main hoop and make sure everything's gonna work there before we even weld these in permanently. Okay, so I got the pillar bar in. I ended up taking about 13 inches off the bottom and then had to cut a little angle, but not too bad. But honestly, I don't really like how it sits in here. Like that's in order for this to go in more, it would have to be cut in the middle and re-spliced together. But this is a kit and I'm not doing that. This is how the instruction said it goes in right out here on the subframe, then the other cross pieces will come down. But when I test fitted the seat in here, that means it's gonna put that harness bar like up here at this bend, and it's an offset harness bar is the one the dude ordered for it. So curious to see how that's gonna fit, but so far that's it. All right, now that the hoop is in, I'm gonna start on the back and do these rear braces. So I'm going to put them right here next to the strut tower. I feel like that's gonna be the strongest spot for them. Jeg's website says get it as close to this as you can. Well, I can get it right next to it. I'm just gonna notch that out, and same with this other side. I already kind of threw back here. Sit right there. Alright, didn't really film much, but I got the back tubes in and the plates welded in the floor. Man, that floor sucks to weld on. It is super thin, especially in the front. So, got those in there. I ended up having to cut these down like 34 inches. Got those in there. I ended up having to cut these down like 34 inches. Yeah. That kind of sucked, but the rest of the stuff shouldn't be too bad. So now that those are in, I'm going to do the harness bar. And I'm doing this in order that Jag says to do it in. So, harness bar next, I'm going to put the seat in, see where it needs to be, and go from there. Boop. It's probably going to get cut probably somewhere back here. But I'm going to try to stick it in there as it is, but I might have to cut it down at least some just to get it in there because I think it's way too long. Okay, so I got this offset harness bar that the kit supplied. I'm not really liking it. I've cut it down to get it kind of close, but before it was like way back here, and that's just really far away from the seat. So I'm pretty sure this was an option in the kit, but in order to get it somewhat closer, it just wasn't, it's just not gonna work. I don't know, but I don't really like the way it looks. So I'm just going to throw in my own tube and just put a straight bar in like the directions say it should have. So here, I got one prepped right here. Just gonna get the ends notched and go. Alright, so I went and made my own straight tube here. Hopefully it's not too tight, but we'll see. Might have to hammer it up a little bit. Tighter is always better than looser. Oh yeah. Think that. So I got the crossbar in. I went ahead and made my own, notched it, put it in straight piece. Way better, looks better, stronger. So I made an executive decision and I rolled with that. So now the next thing to do is grab the top hoop and fit that up on the top cage, and we'll get that fitted up, and then the pillar bars. But I think it looks a little too far bent in. We're gonna have to notch it weird, so. All right, let's get it in there and see what it looks like. The roll bar tacked in, or the top bar tacked in. Now I'm gonna start working on the pillar bars and see how that lines up, make sure it's in a good spot for me to weld. All right, I got to the point where I got the top hoop in and a pillar bar in, and then I decided to test fit the seat, because why not? And I realized that this seat is way closer than it looked. Look at that. And it goes right into your head. And this is centered in the hoop. So, I don't know. They must have, the only thing I can figure is they put these bends too close, because it just goes around. It's not even up against this pillar bar here, or up against the roof here. It goes right into your head. And then the pillar bar, it's just mocked up there for now, but just to hold it there so I can show you guys. But that is just ridiculous. And the instructions say to put it like right here in the center of this bend, not right there. Okay, well, if you're thinking about getting a Jegs Racing cage kit, this is kind of the issue that I ran into. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight. This is the 12-point kit from Jegs Racing for an RX7 FC. if anybody's wondering, or if you're buying this kit. It is not straightforward. There's only like a couple tubes that are notched. You're gonna have to notch mostly everything. Everything is about 13 inches oversized, average. And then piece of cardboard just fell off the window. So yeah, I'm just gonna button up the back here, get it all welded in, throw some primer on it, give it back to him, and hopefully he'll bring it back in the future and we'll finish this up and I'll make a video about that. So thanks for watching.